I'm Becher Townshend and welcome to the Fontcast, Tasmania's top source of political news and analysis. Well, it was Fontcast night of night. The who's who of Tasmanian politics was there and Premier Jeremy Rockliff came away victorious, adding a coveted golden font to his back-to-back election victories.
It's sort of rounded out his year, isn't it?
It
starts the year with the interview in here,
Yep.
ends the year with the big award.
The big award, that's exactly right. And he
won an election on the way.
The icing on the cake.
It is, and he tweeted it. He
did. He was glowing and proud of his achievement.
almost lemming-like, I think, was the quote.
Well, that was a bit of a dig at you guys,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
For suggesting that...
Yes, so it was being very subtle, very
Yeah.
Tongue in
unsubtle
cheek
even.
there. Anyhow, for
Glad
those
that he listens, though.
yeah, exactly. For those that didn't catch it, Peter George came a relatively close second. 2 votes to Christy Johnston and a single vote each to Erica Betts, David O'Byrne, and perhaps most surprisingly...
Just before we get there, though, just Peter George, never let it be said that we don't cast the votes as the votes shall fall. No secret that we do a little bit of work for the salmon industry, but, didn't stop the votes going where the votes were deserved.
No,
Clear-eyed,
that's exactly
you
right.
guys
Thank
are,
you.
aren't you?
Yes, that's exactly right. Anyhow, the other...
He did very well for a first year.
He did exceedingly well for a first year. There's no
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year.
Will it
Wow.
be what do they call it? The mature age draft? Is there a thing? What do they call that?
Oh, yeah, there have been plenty that have, surprised later in life. So
There you go. He's finally found his stride. Anyhow, the other interesting point to note, speaking of sort of more senior drafts, Brad gave a vote to Rebecca White.
I did.
have you heard from the Assistant Federal Shadow Health Minister?
no, I've been waiting.
Not Shadow. Assistant
Real Minister.
Federal Minister. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
no,
shadows involved.
I've been waiting for my phone to ring. But, no. Maybe I'll get a Christmas card.
Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't hold your breath myself. But anyhow.
No, but again, in fairness, I think on any clear-eyed analysis, she has had a very good year.
Oh, absolutely.
And so,
A resounding election win. The bookies got that one wrong.
they did. EMRS had that one right, but the bookies had it wrong.
Yeah. But no, she's off to a good start. She seems like she's got plenty of verve and, yeah.
Yeah, and certainly on her socials, looks like she's having the time of her life.
Yeah, that assistant might not last too long. Might be a full-blown minister next time there's a need for a reshuffle.
Very soon, I suspect.
I'd
Very
say
soon.
yes. Yeah. I'd say you're right. Okay. It's been a little while since our last regular pod, and there have been a few things happening in Tasmanian politics, so we thought we'd take a better look at Erica Betts' interim budget, the TT line, the gift that keeps on giving, or should I say keeps on taking, Tas Insure. Boy, is it coming?
Yeah, it's
The 100
coming,
days,
Beach,
the
it's
100
coming.
days, I was getting excited.
Squeezed it into the 100 days. Bit of AI involved, allegedly.
Yes. And finally, let's call it Sports Rorts Mark 3.
Mark 3.
Revelations in budget estimates this week that Sports Minister Nick Duigan cancelled a government election funding promise.
Was there a letter?
Well, there was, actually. I believe there was. I don't know whether it was signed, though, Brad.
Right.
Because the recipient did a media event with Labor.
So in this case, it's more of sports rorts abort, isn't it? Because it didn't go through.
Didn't go
It's a
through.
reverse rort.
Yeah, it's a reverse rule. That's very true.
So just for Sports Rorts Mark 1, Beach, people may not be old enough to remember that one.
Well, you'll have to take me back through those.
Oh, that's Ross Kelly, isn't it?
Yes.
And the Whiteboard
Yes.
Affair, which is back in the 90s, I think, wasn't
Yes,
it? The
it
most
was.
famous one. And then we had Mark 2 was Bridget McKenzie and the spreadsheet
Yes.
affair. So this one.
Of electorates that perhaps were a bit
Colour-coded, I think,
Colour-coded
wasn't it?
electorates. Yes. There you go.
Well, there was a state one too, wasn't there? Labor tried to make hay, didn't they, about
Oh, yeah.
money to rowing clubs or
That's
something
it,
like
that's
that?
right.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Labor
this
doesn't
is-
do pork barrelling, by the way.
No,
Just so you know.
Labor definitely doesn't do pork barrelling. All right, let's start with Erica Betts' interim budget. A while ago now, but better late than never. Brad, you've got a bit to say. You had a bit to say in your column for Font Publishing a couple of weeks ago. I think you called it a nothing burger.
Yeah, well, it was. It was sort of Barnett Redux in many ways in terms of the budget, you know.
Yep.
What surprised me most, a few shoulder shrugs from the independents, fairly inept, that didn't surprise me, I suppose, inept political attacks from Labor that was sort of spending too much, not spending enough, cutting enough, not cutting enough, sort of depending on the day of the week that they were attacking it. And then the independents sort of very supinely, is that a word? Supine, in terms of just like, so what? But I mean, the budget, and I wasn't here for it, Beach, and I know you were in the lockup, but 25, 26 budget, current year's budget, Guy Barnett's deficit, $1,002 million.
Yep.
Erica Betts' deficit, $1,008 million. So $6 million worse.
Yep.
And the response is a collective,
Well, they've sort of set the scene that this one doesn't count and the one in May counts. I guess they've sort of paved the way for that.
yeah, I think
So everyone's, putting things on hold. But
I mean, I'll come to this later, but that doesn't just because you're saying, "Oh, we'll do the real budget in May," doesn't mean you shouldn't act responsibly now. I mean, this is just
I agree.
This sort of groupthink that everybody seems to have swallowed on this one.
I mean, the thing that surprises me even more is that, he then was able to claim lower deficits in the out years and lower debt in the out years just by sort of making some
wishful thinking.
truly unbelievable assumptions.
Magic
We are told, if you read the budget papers, and I've been flabbergasted. I haven't heard anything about this from Labor. Nothing from the best treasurer we never had, Ruth Forrest, about this. Nothing from even Saul Leslie about this, the best economist we've ever had. Never had. No one has been saying, hang on a minute. They are saying, Eric is saying, he is going to cut spending in actual terms from the government next year, the year after that, and the year after that.
It would take a monumental change in attitude, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't think that has ever happened before. I think that
Lara Giddings had a year where she slowed it right down, didn't she?
She slowed it down. So
Yeah.
the Giddings budget, the horror budget of 12-13, the one where she promised to shut 20 schools, Nick saved them, by the way. Where she
thought Nick
slashed
announced
health, as Jeremy tells us. She's sacked a nurse a day for 280 days, whatever it was. The ones where she sacked 108 police, as Felix tells us every second day when he's not been caught for speeding. That budget, spending still went up the next year. Now, I know that not all the savings were delivered, including the schools, but that was only a $4 million saving.
So what you're saying is, even in a year where you cop a lot of political pain, I mean, the unions turned on Lara Giddings, so she was obviously having a crack. Even in a year like that, you still don't actually go backwards.
No,
so
right.
it's fanciful.
It's completely fanciful. It will never happen. And yet, again, what do we hear? The sounds of sort of tumbleweed coming down the aisles of Parliament, and where everyone sort of looks the other way. Mr. Winter, couldn't sleep at night if he hadn't voted against Guy Barnett's budget, Erica Betts' budget. All good. I just...
All right. Well,
extraordinary. I mean, I know it was an interim budget and he did some much better messaging and, laid the groundwork. But what he's essentially done is said, look, the difference between him and Guy was Guy said the sky is the ground, red is blue, budget's all good. And everyone's gone, don't think so, mate.
Yep.
Eric's gone, well, look, the budget is completely rooted, but don't worry, I'll fix it next year, Alex.
And at the risk of asking a dumb question, how big a problem is our budget? As in, you guys talk to business people. Obviously.
Well, I'm happy to be delighted to talk about such things. So,
TCCI.
Most of the Foncast listeners are fairly politically informed, but even someone like me from day to day thinks, how big a deal is it that we're taking on this much debt?
Well, you've got to look at your revenue base. Okay, you've got to look at where you're making money from. And
don't worry, Eric's doing that.
I know. Yeah, well, he is. That's exactly right. And the challenge we have in Tasmania is vertical fiscal imbalance, and that is that basically most of our money comes from the federal government. So that's the first challenge is we've got to go, every time we spend too much money, we've got to go with a begging bowl to the feds. Bail us out on this, bail us out on that. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is, all right, say we don't have any money, say we don't have enough money, we've got, say, I don't know, $10 billion deficit. We don't have the levers within the Tasmanian economy to pull to get us out of that debt. So other states have the capacity to generate other income elsewhere. We don't have that opportunity. So for us, it's a real
We've got
challenge.
some fantastic industries.
Yes, and that's about the only thing we can do
You
is
meant to say which half the parliament are trying to shut down.
yes. Well, well, that'd be
You've
the
made this point before.
that'd be the wealth generating industry.
So
in
it's a problem
Tasmania.
that deserves our full attention.
Absolutely, it deserves our full attention, and it deserves a full attention for the next generation of young Tasmanians who want a future here, who want to buy a house and want to educate their kids and want to have confidence in the police and want to have confidence in the health system. And that's why we need to worry about these things, because it is vitally important that we ensure we can deliver these services. And the only way we can deliver these services, I know this is going to be a shocking revelation, is to live within our means. And the challenge we have with the Parliament at the moment, the way it is, the budget situation, it's appalling. Every year they are spending more and more money. We've seen a pledge to reduce the public service by 2,000.
Yeah, well, the Premier said that in here at the start of the year. He was going to, what did he say in that interview? He was going to
Right size?
Right size the public service by 2,300 people. Have they done that? No, they've in fact increased it
Keeps
by
getting bigger.
hundreds, and it keeps on getting bigger.
And they boast about it.
And they boast about it. So that's the first point, you know. So you sort of have this argument about a pay increase for public servants, but the challenge is
5% I want.
5%.
A year.
A
For
year.
4 years.
So the challenge is we have so many of them, can we afford to give them a pay increase? You know,
Clearly not.
well, clearly not. If we had less of them, perhaps we might. I don't know. I'm not
So how
pinned down
brave
that.
is Erica Betts going to be come May?
Well, we don't know, because he hasn't been brave so far, right? All he's done is really kick the budget into the long grass. And what's going to occur, and he's already foreshadowed it, despite the fact that the government promised it during the election campaign.
Promised not to.
Not to. They promised not to increase taxes, and they promised no new taxes. Now, it's clear as the light of day that that's what they intend to do, is break yet another promise, okay, in their attempts to get through this process. But what they are not doing is managing their expenditure. So they're allowing the public service to grow. They are allowing departmental secretaries to blow out budgets, not in tens of millions, but in hundreds of millions of dollars, and just, oh, well, that's what happens, you know. There's no discipline, there's no nothing. We just have to sit here and cop it. And the reality is, what will occur is the wealth-generating industries of Tasmania will be taxed, and will be
More.
taxed significantly more, because this government cannot manage its finances and sits there and says, as the Treasurer does, I'm a small government man. I don't like increasing taxes, but
He just works there.
I just work here. So
Well,
That's
if
the
there's
reason
anyone
why.
in Tasmanian politics that has the stomach for, cutting the public sector, it has to be Erica Betts, doesn't it? Like,
Well-
ideologically, isn't it? I mean, he's going to come up against Jeremy Rockcliffe, isn't he?
Well, that's the irony, is usually you have tension between your Treasurer and your Premier over these things. I can only hope he does. That's all I can say. But he hasn't on current evidence, despite
But I mean, that's one thing, him delivering a budget which magically wishes spending's going to go down, which means sacking thousands and thousands of public servants, literally the only way it can happen.
Yep.
Is the Parliament going to let him do that?
No. And it goes without saying that if you cut the wrong part of the... I'm sure we can all think of ways you could cut the public service responsibly, but if you cut the wrong part, then services suffer and,
Well, well, at the
we're
moment,
even worse off than we are.
if you wanted to give the government feedback about how you might want to cut the public service, I think you can fill out a survey, or you can go to a public servant themselves and say, hello, public servant, how would you put yourself out of a job? The mythical EPU, is it? Economic Productivity Unit?
Yeah.
Still yet to materialise. I'm told
Well, it was so
there's
quiet
something
that
in the
I thought
future.
its first move might have been to cut itself.
Well, could save some money, couldn't it, potentially? Anyhow.
No, well, again, in the budget, one of the main spending measures in the budget, in the interim nothing burger budget, $2 million to Treasury to save money. I mean...
Well, I mean, it seems to me there's a double problem. They've put off the hard decisions
Yes.
around cuts,
Correct.
but they've also said to some people, and we'll get to the stadium debate, but, in an issue like Beck Thomas and the basketball stadiums, they're sort of saying, well, it's not in the interim budget, but it will be later. So they've got not just...
They're sending out some letters.
They haven't just delayed they haven't just delayed the
look, I got
cuts;
11.
they've delayed some spending as well.
Yeah.
So those two things can't, reconcile, can they?
Well, I mean, I think what you're saying is at some point the rubber's going to hit the road, isn't
Well,
it?
someone's either not going to get their basketball court or
Yeah,
so-
and clearly the rubber did not hit the road in this interim budget, I think is the bottom line. And we're told it may hit the road in May next year, which when we have our proper budget.
I think in PR speak you call them holding lines, don't you?
Holding lines, yes. Well, I think in political terms you call let's kick it into the long grass and worry about it on another day. Anyhow.
Yeah, wholly unimpressive.
Wholly,
I think would be my
yeah,
assessment
that's
of
correct.
that.
That's correct.
An impressive spin job
Yes.
from Eric.
Yes.
An impressive sales job, certainly a lot better than Guy.
Good work in that
well done
sense.
there.
Yep.
But the numbers are, in my view, worse than they were under Guy.
They
And
must
do you
be.
get a feeling Erica Betts is frustrated by having to sort of, tiptoe do...
Well,
he's amazingly disciplined these days. When
He is.
Erica Betts was in federal politics, the worst poker face in the world.
Well, yeah, but
He'd make it pretty clear when he didn't agree with something. But these days he's very disciplined, very much a team player.
Absolutely. To his credit, he's a team player.
And always
There's no
has
doubt
been,
about it.
actually.
Yes, and he's
I guess he would just sort of make his thoughts clear, probably more on social issues,
But,
wasn't it,
but-
rather than not being a team player.
Well, and don't forget when he was in the federal parliament, a senator for Tassie, you'd only hear from him, occasionally, but you never really knew what he was doing in Canberra. Like
That's
in terms
true.
of inside the government there,
well,
and
and the other point being, I think the difference with Eric is he names it up. He says, "Look, I'm a small government man. I don't like increasing taxes. I don't think it's the way I'm going to go, but I don't think I'm going to have any choice." So, sort of by the time it occurs, it's like, oh well, he's been talking about it for a while, and I suppose that's why I'm trying to call it out, because I'm trying to say, well, just because you name it up and saying, not much I can do about it. Well, you're treasurer, mate. You can do something about it, and you should do something about it. And the state needs you to do something about it. But don't get me wrong. The state needs the entire parliament to do something about it. It needs the government to lead, and then for the parliament to follow and show some economic responsibility and stop taxing.
well, that's not going to happen, is it?
I know, but I'm just making the point that that's what needs to occur.
Before we move off this, and Brad's right, Labor's trying to have its cake and eat it too. Not enough, the state of the budget's bad, but also you're not spending enough here. We've seen it all week in estimates, which we'll get to in a minute, but, cuts around TAFE was a big discussion yesterday, that sort of thing. The crossbench is doing the same. Peter George talks about the state of the budget, but then, chastises the government for cuts here and there. What would be a more effective line from opposition, do you think? Because you guys did a bit of the same, Brad, when you were in opposition. You said, you could save all this money in supplies and consumables and put it back into the police force.
And we did.
You've
Those
opened
108 cops we reported, fully acquitted, unlike the 100 TAFE staff, which Felix pretended were fully acquitted.
So if
last
you
night.
were at Labor now, which basket would you be putting your eggs in? Your economic wreckers or your I don't know. You know what I'm getting at, though. Which way would you go?
I don't know. I'd probably start. I know this is controversial.
I know
with
what's coming.
Perhaps not spending money that you don't need to and can't afford to spend.
Yep.
Like perhaps $1.5 billion on a brand new
Oh,
stadium.
okay,
How's that an idea for
Oh
a
God,
for a start?
I didn't even
but
I didn't even think that I was opening the door to that.
No.
But I mean, look, you have to stop new spending.
Yes.
You can't cut. He's not going to be able to cut. The only way to bring the budget back into balance is to stop new spending. It's much easier to not give someone something they don't have than take something away from them. So stop new spending.
yeah, well, I think
So
that's
that's what we did, and you were there, AJ, with Greenie in opposition in 2014. That's what we did. We stopped new spending. We did some cutting as well, and that was very painful and didn't deliver a lot. But it was the new spending that we stopped that actually made, or didn't stop it, we wound it back, which actually made the tangible difference.
And to do that, do you need everyone to buy in, all
Yes.
your dep secs
Yeah.
and
Well, you need discipline, right? You need a clear narrative, right? And then you need to show the bureaucracy that you're serious about what you're talking
and
about.
you've got to say we're broke. But
Yeah.
is the government saying that at the moment?
No.
Well, how can they say they're broke when they're spending $1.5 billion on a brand new piece of equipment? And that's getting raised all the time, particularly by the independents who want more money. They're saying, well, you're spending money there. How can you say you can't afford to employ a few more TAFE teachers? That's the trouble they've got.
And then further to that is, what's the problem with a bit of debt? There's nothing wrong with a bit of debt, We've all got debt personally, well, most people do anyhow, so what's the issue? And you asked it with a genuine straight face, but, I'm not an economic expert, but what's wrong with that? So that question's not being asked. But the other point that Brad's alluding to is showing a clear signal to the bureaucracy is also something that's got to occur, because Brad talks about, which was it, the Leo Schofield's...
The Baroque Festival. Sad loss to the state.
Early up, Hodgman's in power. Leo Schofield's jumping up and down about funding for it. Hodgman says no. And really, what it did was it sent a signal to everybody who had their hand out to government. Oh, shit.
That if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
And shit, they're serious. But they're not going to hand out any money. But it sent a clear signal, not only to everybody who wanted some money, but also to the bureaucracy. And I think that's where there's a lacking here. There's no sense from the bureaucracy that they should be shouldering the load in terms of contributing to the process. Because you can't tell me a minister who runs... what's the budget of health nowadays? Billions, right? That a minister is going to be across everything within that department in terms of its expenditure, in terms of all those kind of things. Bridget, who's been a very good minister, I've got to say, so far, cannot be completely across it. She's reliant on the bureaucrats and the advisors within her office and within her department to assist her in making sure she makes the right decisions. Right? Well, if she isn't informed of all the information, you can't make the right decisions. I think the budget had a $750 million blowout.
Yeah, which is why this budget is hard to believe, because what we're going to suddenly...
Yeah, we're going to fix health.
And Labor's right.
Yeah.
When they say, well, in real terms, it's a decrease in health spending, or you're not... It's going to end up like that. They're going to have to ask for more money in 9 months' time.
Well, if you look, the challenge is, and I was at the lockup, if you look across the forward estimates, and for those that don't really understand what we mean when we talk about the forward estimates, it's going to spend $1 million this year, and $1 million and 10 next year, $1 million and 20 the year after, and they run it over 4 years, right? Well, if you look across the forward estimates, we're going to spend $1 million this year, $1 million next year, and then the year after we're going to have this incredible saving. We're going to get it down to $100,000. It's just completely fanciful, and that's how the government is able to say, so by 2028, 29, we'll have a surplus. It'll be very small, it'll only be a couple of $1 million, but we'll have a surplus. And it's like, this is where Lara was many years ago. Don't worry, this year we've got a deficit, next year we'll have a surplus. And then the next year comes along. Yeah, well, ironically, because we had to change government. Anyhow.
Anyway.
Let's move on from that
all a bit depressing,
fun
really,
topic. It is.
The roosters have not yet come home to roost. Is that? They will next May. There'll be something.
Look, let me cheer you up and talk about those two wonderful things that were replacing.
There was some spending in the budget.
There was some spending in the budget.
$75
million cash injection to keep the TT line afloat. What great news, hey? Isn't that wonderful?
Well, better than them sinking, I suppose.
Well, I've got to say, this is the gift that keeps on giving. There is no doubt about it. I have pursued for a client the Tasmanian gas pipeline for many years. The idea that we might run the spirits on gas,
natural gas.
Yes, natural gas. And I've been pursuing it for probably 5 years now, definitely 4 years. And throughout that process, we've got various lines from the TT line about why we can't do it. It's not that safe. Gas is not as safe as bunker oil, or it's more difficult to load, or it's expensive, or there are shortages out of it. And every turn I've got this kind of bullshit from the TT line regarding not being able to use gas, despite the fact the TT line wanted engines that could run on gas, despite the fact that by 2030 maritime thing. My point being...
Thrown him now.
I know. I'll tell you a few stories later. But my point being that we're still getting the same bullshit from this company.
I think what you're saying is, because you told me this earlier, there's been a change of management.
Yes. Change.
Board's been turned over after the debacle with the ports.
Yep.
And we're still getting the same problem.
So
hasn't fixed it.
Shuffle the deck chairs, we've still got the same issues.
Still going broke.
still going broke, still need more money, still need ships with hulls that need reinforcing, still got the same issues. No light on gas, I can assure you, despite some sort of fairly empty undertakings on that matter. Fair enough, it's their decision. They can do what they want. But my point being, you can change the names, you can shuffle the deck chairs, but the problem's still the same.
So the much vaunted overhaul of the board,
Yes.
well,
hasn't changed it.
I can only
Well,
imagine.
the Premier's language definitely indicates he thinks they've drawn a line in the sand, because he says, "I've got full confidence in." He sort of sees it as a new dawn. You haven't seen the evidence that
Let me channel the former chair and the former CEO. We weren't insolvent when we were in charge. Would be
Yes.
what they would be saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, this is...
sure they had some issues, but this insolvency has occurred on the new boards.
And
the
how
new
could have that been
management.
avoidable?
Well, I'm not inside the company. I
No.
don't know. But I mean,
But what you could do when you're a new board or new CEOs, you can go in and clean it out, and then what you do is...
do what a new government normally does.
Yeah, do what a new government does, and that is bring out your dead. Bring it all out, get it all out there as quickly as you can, release it publicly, tell people what's going on. Well, we've done some projections here, we're going to be insolvent by this point, so government, you need to give us some more money because those previous people were shit.
So
It does
just-
seem like we still have to, get the information out of them kicking and screaming sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, but this is my point, is the names change, the story has not changed in my experience. The lines I get from this business around gas, I know it's only a trivial issue for many, is exactly the same. It has not changed in 4 years.
So for those that, sorry, we sort of maybe missed the punchline. For those that aren't locals and missed it, a couple of weeks ago, was it, the Auditor General tabled his audit report, I think he did all the GBs or a selection of them, and found...
At a moment in time, I think in August.
and I think he said this week in estimates, it was still his position, is that the TT line is insolvent in his professional
View.
Now that is quite extraordinary. It has serious implications for these new directors to be in charge of a business which, according to the Auditor General, just one man, just an opinion,
We'll get to that in a minute.
is trading insolvently. Now, of course, the TT line claims they have advice to the contrary. Haven't seen that advice. I don't think they've released anything publicly. And they probably have a reasonable point when they say, well, we're owned by the government. They've given us basically a blank,
Check.
empty line of a blank check, line of credit. We're not insolvent. We're not going to be insolvent because the government won't let us go broke. That's essentially, I think,
What a
their
great way
argument.
to run a
But,
business.
my view, it's taxpayer owned and operated. It's a monopoly passenger shipping service across Bass Strait. Nobody else does it, as far as I'm aware. Nobody else does it.
Nope.
It is subsidised massively by the federal government through the Bass Strait Passenger Vehicle Equalisation Scheme, around about $50 million a year. Taxpayer owned, taxpayer subsidised, monopoly, and they're still going broke. I mean, if everyone wanted an advertisement for why governments shouldn't run businesses, there's one right there.
No, there's some great news coming up
Hang
though,
on,
bro.
before we get there.
And
though,
presumably the Auditor General didn't make that assessment because he wanted to get his name in the paper. Like, he's a pretty sober sort of character, I imagine. And Brad alluded to it. The Premier in Parliament said, well, that's his opinion. Basically, a bit like if someone asked him a question about law reform, and because Greg Barnes wrote a column, oh, that's his opinion. Well, it's fine if it's Greg Barnes in a column about, prison reform. Not quite the same when it's the Auditor General.
Well,
would you agree with that?
Oh, well, look, I'd absolutely agree. I've in the past I've worked for the Auditor General, not
Different one?
different one.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've done some work for this
Okay.
one as well, but I haven't worked for him in recent times. A couple of things to understand about the role of the Auditor General. The role of the Auditor General is to answer to the Parliament, not to the government, right? And what the Auditor General is there to do is to give the community confidence that the money that they pay in their taxes is being spent appropriately by government. That's what they do. That's why he tables his report in Parliament. That's why he can say to the Parliament, I'm sorry, Premier, but this one's trading insolvent. So,
I mean, look, governments don't tend to like Auditor Generals for that very reason.
yeah, but the other point to make is if you read some of the commentary that the Auditor General has made, he said, well, week one I realised that I made the decision. So week two I informed the TT line, and week three I had no response, so I informed the Australian Securities and Investment Commission. So, you know, I mean, that's not a rash act. That's not an unconsidered act. That's an act by a man that says who takes his job seriously, and so he should, because he's there to give us all confidence that our money is being spent appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, I take your point, Alex, and I was a little surprised, maybe not surprised, unfortunately, that the government didn't say, look, we take his view very seriously.
That's all it needed. I mean,
it's deeply concerning. That's why we've given them a shitload of cash.
Yeah.
Like, they
were just a bit dismissive
They
in
were,
my
and
idea.
yeah.
They weren't expected to say, oh my God, it's absolute gospel, the sky's falling in, because of course you're not going to want to emphasise it to that degree. But yeah, as Brad just said, at least in the tone of how you respond, you know, show that you are taking this very seriously and that you do respect his view.
Don't show that you're perhaps a bit arrogant and just brushing it off, and
That's how it looked.
you know,
It seemed,
and that's how it came across. Yeah. Anyhow,
But
good,
as you said, Beach, good news.
some good news on the horizon. It's
They
great.
can't run a shipping line.
They can't run a shipping
but
line, but they're going to run their very own insurance business, which I still wish they would have called TGIO. But anyhow,
I feel like that's happened before.
yeah, I think it has. Tasmanian Government Insurance Office, I think it was called.
Tasinsure's got it does have a nice ring
It's
to
got
it.
a nice ring to it. And on that topic, at the Fontcast Golden Font,
Yes.
I saw a regular and a strong follower,
Loyal follower.
loyal at the Golden Font, proudly wearing his Tansfield cap, proudly showing his colours.
Was he wearing it proudly or slightly tongue-in-cheek?
Well, perhaps he was being a little
No,
bit tongue-in-cheek.
he's offered to swap me the hat for the jacket that Brad gave me, because I thought I'd never fit into the jacket, but I've lost a couple of
you
kilos in the
go.
last few weeks, so I'm on my way to fitting into my Tasmanian jacket. So
Don't give it up. It
the
could be
swap,
worth something.
yeah, I don't think this. I might have to renege on my promise to swap. Plus, he's been wearing the hat, so now it's sullied.
No, he loves it. He's proud of it. He's wearing it with pride. So, anyhow,
Tasinsure, yes.
yes, Tasinsure. So that was well worth it, and I think
You can find your spot in the
yeah,
script here, the run sheet. Where are we up to?
desperately
Yeah.
looking. So, so AJ.
You're still waiting for your $250 saving, Beach.
I've
Every
been-
week without fail,
Every
you raise
week.
it.
Well, and I thought last time, with the 100 days up, I'd get my $250 off. I was waiting for it. Still waiting for the phone number to ring so I can get a quote, and perhaps I can do it online and do the comparisons. But I don't think it's going to happen, I've got to say.
Yeah, look,
Look,
AJ, I know you've got views on it. Just from my perspective, I mean, I haven't got a lot to say because there's not a lot to say about it, quite frankly. Other than to repeat, it was very, very good politics. I don't think anyone would deny that. Very, very clever in the election campaign. Dominated the campaign, sort of from the day it was announced for the rest of the campaign, and I think was overwhelmingly popular.
Yep.
So I think was it Paul Keating?
mm-hmm.
I think a few might have said it, but I think Paul Keating said it famously. Good policy is good politics.
Yeah.
He clearly never met Tasinsure, eh?
So where are we going to land? I just got this press release up from the RACT welcoming the Tasmanian government's acknowledgement that extensive consultation and collaboration is essential to tackle the very real challenge of insurance accessibility, because the RACT
I don't think Font works for the RACT because we would have been slightly blunter in the language we
Yeah.
suggested.
Well,
yes.
but the RACT, the point I'm making is the RACT was very blunt. I remember the morning that Tasmanian was announced.
Yeah.
RACT got straight on ABC radio and just basically poured a big bucket of cold water on the idea. Now, obviously, someone's reached out behind the scenes and at least calmed the farm a bit. What do we end up with? A very, sorry to keep talking about water, but a very watered down version of Tasmanian that doesn't encroach into RACT's
Well,
territory?
Becher's
Or?
a bit of an expert in this field.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, well, a couple of...
Well, you worked for many years for RACT
I worked for
Insurance.
many years for RACT Insurance. I worked for AAMI Insurance for even longer than that. So I've worked for a couple of insurance companies, and I've also been involved in insurance reform or reform around insurance.
Is there anything you haven't done, Beach?
Well, you know, when you've
Long and illustrious
long,
career.
yes, that's exactly right. No, well, and you know, we're a broad church.
Becher, Townshend, AO.
Oh, it's got a nice
He
ring
never
to it,
worked at the
doesn't it?
ABC.
And no, I
Well,
didn't.
that's why I still get
I
some
didn't.
AA,
I
didn't
didn't. I didn't.
And hasn't been to a lot of footy.
No, definitely haven't been to a lot of footy. I used to cover the occasional TFL match when I was at Southern Cross.
I might have to dig those out. It was called the TFL back then.
Yeah, it was a bit of a threat to Rob Fairs when it came to sport, I can assure you. Anyhow, listen, look, I've worked for a lot of insurance companies over the years, and I've got an understanding of. I've got to say, yeah, I think it would be fair to say to agree with Brad that if I was the RACT, I'd be more front-footed about it, but perhaps they're up to something that we don't know.
Maybe some bit of 4D chess going on.
Well,
up
perhaps,
at RACT house.
that's it, a bit of 4D chess. But the point being that, you know, this proposition that we're going to set up a not-for-profit insurance company that's not going to compete with our Tasmanian-owned insurance company, which is RACT. Literally, the club has bought back the family farm. It is owned by the about 200,000 people who are members of the RACT. So it is a Tasmanian-owned business.
A lot of voters there.
Yeah, there is a hell of a lot of voters there, and so the government's going to set up a business in competition to it. So we got some reforms through. It's a long story around professional indemnity insurance a number of years ago, and that was a legal change or a change to the law, which ensured that we reduced the cost of professional indemnity insurance here in Tasmania. I did that with the Chartered Accounts Australia, New Zealand.
Didn't set up a GBE.
I'm just going to go get another coffee. I'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
keep going, keep going.
My point being, there are some legislative measures you can introduce to do it. My sense of TasInsure, perhaps I'm a little bit cynical, but it was a great thing during the election campaign. Great work. You know, did what it needed to do.
That's where it
tapped into cost
should stop. You
That's
reckon?
where it should have stopped, and I suspect that the government's probably of the same view. I see after 100 days, you know, just to preempt my getting on the phone to get my cheaper policy, that they go, oh, no, we've got to get a specialist in, a specialist consultant who knows about insurance to scope it all out for us. So not that we're trying to kick TasInsure into the long grass as well.
I think you underestimate the determination of the Premier and his office to deliver this policy.
Well,
And that's
Well, I
my-
thought I
that
heard
is
the
my
Premier
sense.
say that they'd introduce something before the end of the year.
Well-
The language, I thought he was going to tiptoe away from it as well, but he seemed to double down.
I just, you
Yeah,
know,
I think they genuinely want it.
Yeah.
Now, Treasury will push back, and
Yeah.
maybe RACT will wake up one day and realise
Maybe-
it's not good for them either, and they'll push back.
Maybe
but
the
I actually think it will happen.
Yeah, maybe the business community will push back as well and point out what role
Doubt
does
it.
the government have to go when services are delivered, you know, in a commercial way and effectively. But
It's coming.
What would I know?
Anyway, the good
All
thing
right.
is the governments, as we've already discussed, are very, very good at running private sector businesses.
They are. They've got such a good track record, haven't they?
It'll be great.
It should be great. And no doubt they'll have a good board to run it. Do you know what I mean? Of, you know, skills based to get it.
I'll tell you what I'd be asking after that.
What's that?
Well, I'd be asking you all that insurance experience.
Yeah.
No. Insurance is not a game.
Got a bit of Labor colour to him. I'll let-
I think you'd be
qualify
a
it.
consensus choice, wouldn't you?
No, insurance is not. In all seriousness, insurance is not
very
a
complicated
game
business.
you enter lightly. That's for sure. Reinsurance and all those kind of things. It's a very difficult.
Could get very big very quickly, is what I've been told.
Yes, it could. Yes, that's very correct. Especially if you're undercutting the market by $250 on everybody's home insurance. Well, where's everybody going to get their home insured? Anyhow, all right.
Right.
Let's move on
Keep
from
moving.
that. And clearly I've told enough stories today, so we've just got time for one more. Let's call it Sports Rorts Mark 3. So for those of you that might have missed it, on Monday at Estimates, Sports Minister Nick Duigan
Is it
confessed...
sports minister or sports reader?
Sports Minister, Brad.
Okay.
He was a sports reader.
Okay,
Now
yep.
he's a minister. Minister.
That's
well,
good, isn't it? It's
Well, he's
well
read about it for
qualified
so
then.
long, he must know what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
that's good.
Confessed under questioning that he'd essentially cancelled a $100,000 election commitment, so that's great, he saved a bit of money, to the North Launceston Football Club. I don't think that's a good look. Anyhow, the reason, apparently, was because the president of the football club did a media conference with then Labor leader Dean Winter. Oh, gosh, I wonder why. Do you think I'm persona non grata, given that I've backed in Dean a few times? Anyhow, now I've got to say I find this extraordinarily arrogant.
Well, it definitely looked arrogant on.
Well, why did he
the
say the
evidence.
quiet bit out loud? That's
Yeah,
the bit I don't know. I mean,
I know.
you've got here, apparently, he said it was the reason.
Yeah, okay, well,
Like-
there you go.
We're trying not to get sued.
Yeah, yeah. We
I,
don't want to be complete.
I can't believe that he put the breadcrumbs together for them. I mean, as you just said, saved $100,000. Like, you could have said, look, we had another look at it.
Yeah.
Things are tough. We're trying. We'll keep working
Or
with the
yeah,
club.
Those numpties at Election HQ, nothing to do with me. I
Yeah.
just work here. You know, they did it.
We're committed to talking to them about their new home because this has all come about because Utah Stadium's being demolished, so North's losing its headquarters, right? I can't believe he said the quiet bit out loud.
Yes. Well, I mean,
He didn't just say it. He
you know.
sort of boasted about it.
yes, that's exactly right. I
Sort
mean,
of.
to penalise an organisation like this reminds me of the dark days of Jim Bacon. I've got to say, just
And
I'll-
arrogance.
yeah. and
If
just
you're not with me,
unbelievable.
then you're against me.
You're
Yeah,
if you're not with us, you're a Guinness,
right.
as in a pint.
Yeah, I was surprised, and Josh Duggan's story on the ABC, laid it all out. I thought it was a bit of a sort of a throwback sort of story actually. When these things, and I think you're going to get to this, but these things, it was more of a story that I remember being more regular. You'd sort of hone in on a misstep from a minister.
I reckon opposition leader Brian Green, with Alex Johnston assisting him, would have banged away at this for days and days, and I would have been surprised if the minister didn't end up losing his job over it.
Yes,
And I'm amazed. Firstly, as you said, Alex, that he did it and basically bragged about it in estimates. But I'm more amazed that the story disappeared after 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like there was, ABC, Josh Duggan did a great yarn. I think I saw something, maybe in Pulse or somewhere.
Yep.
And that was it.
Gone.
Unless I missed it, I did not see a Labor media release saying arrogant, lying, deceitful minister must go. Missed that. I mean, back in the day, you'd be banging on about every day. You would have sent it off to the Integrity Commission. You would have put out a media release about that. You would have called in the cops. You would have sent off a media release about that.
Tried to roll out a story with the footy club.
Yeah,
and,
well, people were
some
clearly
poor
upset.
kids,
And fair enough too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing.
It's a scandal,
Yes.
in my view.
Yes.
A scandal which has just been allowed to.
Just fizz.
It's just disappeared, and I think there's a bigger issue.
There is.
And it goes back to what we're saying about the budget, which is because no one wants another election. The government at the moment are essentially untouchable.
Yep.
Like, sure, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. There's a bit of noise every now and then about things, but in terms of actual consequences for things going wrong, nothing. No one is prepared to take them on seriously because no one wants to risk an election. So they've got 14 seats. They may as well have 34,
Yeah, but
in my view. I mean, it's just busted budget.
No.
Fine,
Yeah,
TT lines broke. Oh, who cares?
Who cares?
Dodgy grants, whatever. Like, it's just...
But I think that's the point. I mean, it got lost in a busy week. I think that's probably why it didn't get the clear air that it might have otherwise. No, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to think about why it wasn't bigger because I fundamentally agree. I mean, I thought it was
Wasn't bigger because it wasn't pursued.
a hell of a story.
That's right. It wasn't pursued.
But I
And
guess-
it wasn't raised in every other estimates. Like it could have gone to every other question you
and made
asked.
it your absolute game.
Just
But I know
banged on about it. all
they've
week.
obviously been trying to prosecute with the education minister over the school club. There's been a few plates spinning, I guess. But no,
They
I mean, that's
spent
the
half
one
of
you could
yesterday
have.
chasing Felix Ellis over a speeding fine from when he was 10 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, guys.
See, now that's two great examples.
Yeah.
The Felix Ellis was speeding, for me, a 0 out of 10 story,
Yep.
and you only have to read the comments.
Yep.
Whereas you read the comments
About
on the Nick Dyger one,
That's
everyone gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's but that's the point. And I suppose to add to it, my point is just because you don't want an election, right, doesn't mean you shouldn't ask.
Do you
the
really
question.
think that's why they're gun shy? I don't. I just think that maybe they didn't execute the play well enough.
No, look, I'm sorry. This
And maybe, do you think because it was a Dean Winter play and not a Josh Willie play, it wasn't
Maybe.
emphasised?
I think that might have something to do with it.
I mean,
myself,
Dean
but-
pulled it off well. I mean, he had it handed to him on a platter, I guess, by the minister. But it was
He's like-
it was a good play.
Really?
He was
Confessing?
he was at the top of his game with that one, wasn't
So
he?
then to follow through on it, maybe that you would have had to get Dean out, and
Well,
that's not the way
somebody's
they want to
gone-
go. Or
somebody's gone. Oh no, we've got this real cracker with Felix.
Mate, look,
you know.
maybe that's the case. Maybe a Labor Party's incompetent. Maybe.
they had
no,
a story to tell though, because of course the dinner, the function at Mud Bar was
Correct.
cancelled as well, which fits into the same
Same narrative.
mould.
That's right.
Yep.
It's a silly thing to do, isn't it?
Yes.
To be that reactive when someone does something with your political opponent, you've just got to live with it.
You've got to be nimble.
You've
I
got to
mean,
rise above it.
Yes.
And
yeah,
as I say,
that's
if back
right.
in the day, Alex, would have been me and you, we probably would have. I probably would have suggested to Will that maybe we're just going to give these snoozers $100,000 to make this go away.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Probably 200. I
Well,
reckon.
maybe 200, but you would have fixed it. Like,
well, but-
because you would have had to fix it.
But there's an argument to say you should be supporting that footy club anyhow because
Great. Well,
it's
the promise
pretty,
was made.
And what's
pretty
this?
rough
What's
way
this
to
thing
treat
about?
them.
There was a letter sent, but it wasn't signed. Is
Ah,
that
well, you see, that's the
So
difference.
my understanding on this, and is that it was if we were to make you a promise, something like this, how would that go?
Right.
And then it was never
What do you say?
Consummated.
fully consummated. I
Yeah.
think that's the so in a sense again, Diagon sort of threw himself under the bus more than he necessarily needed to. I mean, but
For looking at a
you know,
hypothetical.
I just
Yeah.
think there is a cliches in there. You know that
Well,
governments-
maybe after this on the Fontcast, it'll be reheated again.
Maybe. Well, maybe when all those independents that are holding the government to account.
Yeah.
Maybe what's happened to them?
They could hold
Is that,
hold the minister to account, couldn't
well,
they?
maybe if it involved basketball courts, not football
Well, I
grounds,
tell you,
Becker
Might
Thomas
be
would be
different.
interesting.
I tell you what, if Rebecca Pentland, who, my fault she didn't get elected, but if she had have
don't
got
think it was
elected,
your fault.
well,
Oh,
I made some errors, but
Oh, we all do that.
but
Well-
she'd be red hot on this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she would have said directly to the Premier, you need to
Well, there's
probably
Fix
do something about this, because that's the sort of thing that really stuck in her craw. Because she was an outsider to politics, she never really understood why decisions were made through a political lens. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. So, yeah.
There's
I would
ano-
like to hear more from the crossbench on
Well-
this issue, because it was,
Well, there's a number of people, I think, on the crossbench that this is right up their bailiwick. This is right up their alley. This is their bailiwick. That's my view. All right. Well,
They were too busy.
they're too busy. We're almost at time, so one last thing. By the time our next episode, barring any emergency pods,
It's possible.
the Legislative Council will have voted on the Macquarie Point Stadium. During the week, during the week we saw a crucial swing vote. Dean Harris and Beck Thomas expressed some scepticism about it. What's your take, Brad?
Well, look, the whiteboard, you probably can't really see it in the background there, but the whiteboard of truth remains unchanged in my view. He just added a little big note to Beck Thomas's voting
yes.
chart there. More basketball courts. Not please,
Okay.
just more basketball courts. This is what she would want. Being very, very unsubtle about it,
Yes.
in my view. I don't begrudge her wanting to get something for her electorate, but you don't normally scream from the top of your lungs that you would like the pork barrel uncorked at Creek Road Beach, beyond which you never step, rolled down Main Road, Moona, all the way through Glenorchy past the Elwick Hotel, and up the hill, up through Berrydale, sort of spinning out basketball courts wherever you go. Normally you're a little bit more subtle in asking for some support for your local electorate in return for your vote. But as I say, my view...
I asked her about this in another forum, and albeit tentatively.
but you bravely asked.
And her response was, well, no, I'm just looking for that balance between spending on elite sport versus spending on grassroots sport, and she thinks the seesaw is tipped, so it's not a pork barrel in her mind. It's a principal matter, and she had a good answer. And to her credit, she's fronting up to every interview you ask her for, which I think deserves credit. I feel like she's really in the weeds, though, with some of the things that she's asking for, and I'm curious as to why the government seems not that much of a hurry to placate her concerns. I'm not sure whether they think that's because she'll eventually vote for it anyway, or whether what she's asking for is
I think
too hard to answer.
The point's been made to me, and not by them directly, but hasn't she already got most of what she's asking for in terms of basketball courts? Wasn't there big promises made and delivered in the northern suburbs within the last 12 months? I think there was. So I think there may be a bit of frustration that sort of more. I don't know. There's a little bit of bizarre argument to say on the one hand, as she does, and did in her speech to the Parliament on the budget, we really can't afford this, but we need to spend more on grassroots football.
Yeah.
On grassroots basketball. It's like, they can't afford it, or you can afford it. Solution to spend more on something else to afford it doesn't actually make any mathematical sense. But
she's playing the hand she's been dealt politically. I think that's the reality of the situation. I'm told that the government's been working fairly hard on Craig Farrell to say, if the vote is tied, that he votes.
Go against convention.
Come on, zero chance.
I'm just saying.
You don't think
whoever's thought that idea up in the government is knuckleheaded, I would suggest.
Well, I'm just saying.
He is a traditionalist, Craig, isn't he?
Exactly.
Well, we'll see. Anyhow,
No way.
Look, fundamentally, the die's been cast, and
you guys are still confident because you were the most confident in town that it had the votes a few weeks ago.
It hasn't changed. 9-5.
Yep,
there
it is. Yep, there you go.
Take it to the bank.
All right, and that's a wrap. Foncast is brought to you.
Before we wrap.
Which rally are you guys going to go to?
I'm not going to either.
We don't go to rallies.
Yeah.
No, neither will I.
You might be covering one.
You might have to
well,
go.
I come on here and I'm the pro stadium guy, and then I go on SEN and I'm the anti-stadium guy. It's like, okay, I'm pretty happy with that.
But sorry, just your view. What do you still think it'll?
I think so. Yeah, no, I think, and even though Beck Thomas has been very nervous, very cautious, very critical, I think she'll end up voting for it because she still prefaces everything with, in my heart, I want to vote for it, and I think that is probably where she'll land. She's done a good job of making it obvious that she's not a pushover, which is good for her politically, but I think the bigger risk to her politically would be the one that voted against it rather than one that voted for it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right. On that note, Foncast is...
I think, just to be clear, on here, Beach is definitely the anti-stadium guy.
On that note, I refrain from any further comment. Foncast is brought to you by Enterprise Market and Research Services, Tasmania's leading research provider. Thank you, Brad.
Fun as always, Beach.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And just as importantly, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can now catch us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Foncast.
Just going very well.
Going very well, actually.
You can see our faces, and I think I've said before, the problem with that is people now stop me in the street, or run away, or come and say hello, because they now know what I look like. It's a bit dangerous.
Come and tell us the things we should be talking about on air. Frank and fearlessly, I might add too. Anyhow, Foncast is produced and directed by Sam Eichen from Eichen Media. Until next time, carry on.